Alright, I just have one question. How did Aiden English go to that, to this? This is so actually different and cool. If there's one big positive that I really did enjoy about this episode of NXT is that it started with a tension-building feud and it also ended with a tension-building feud between two or more people. Now, with that said, I don't think this was a perfect episode of NXT. I think it had a little bit of a structure issue in the first 20 minutes, but with the last 40 minutes of the show, I was mostly entertained by it. So let's just get right down to it. The first match on the card was Sasha Banks versus Alexa Bliss, and like I said, the structuring of this show was a little off, and this is a match. Overall, I felt I wouldn't place this as the first match. I would put this as the second match. And one of the reasons why I would put this as the second match is because of the fact that NXT last week started with a Divas match. So sometimes you have to mix it up to structure the show. You can have a Divas match maybe second, third on the show instead of always having it to be on the first segment of NXT. It was, like I said, Sasha Banks versus Alexa Bliss, and even though this was a very short 5 or 6 minute wrestling match between the two of them, I actually did enjoy it. The roll-up victory was almost botched by Alexa Bliss, but she somehow managed to keep it together and pin Sasha Banks 1, 2, 3. Now, with that said as well, this was a match that was revolved around the breakup between the BFFs, Sasha Banks, the Divas, the NXT Women's Champion Charlotte, as well as Summer Rae. And the interesting thing is, even though we know that Summer Rae is now a babyface on Raw and SmackDown, it still seems like that Summer Rae wanted to come back only to remind us that she's the leader of the BFFs. To me, I thought that was a little interesting. So I'm also interested to see where this is going to go. And I like how at the end of this is that we got to see a little bit of, that tension, with the hair pulling between the two blondes. And it cost Sasha Banks the match here. And I like that how even though they made Sasha Banks lose the match, they still managed to keep her interesting on the last bit of the segment. And of course, with Alexa Bliss going over, I think she needed the win more than Sasha did. And I like how that Sasha, at the end of this, wasn't turning sides on either Summer Rae or Charlotte. She wasn't really siding with either one of the divas, and I like that is because it's not obvious where the storyline is going to go. So there's a little bit of unpredictability here between Sasha Banks being in the middle of this little thing with Charlotte and Summer Rae. I think the idea here is that NXT is going to have Summer Rae turn babyface anyway. And we'll see what happens between Sasha Banks being in the middle of this whole feud between the BFFs and the tension building up to it. So I'm really looking forward to see what NXT is going to do with those three divas on the show. The second match on the show was Mojo Rawley versus Garrett Dillon. And we haven't seen Garrett Dillon in quite some time. And this was just basically jobber squash, but I like that they actually made Garrett Dillon look somewhat okay in this match. He did get a couple of moves in on Mojo Rawley, but at the end it was Mojo Rawley going over. I still think that Mojo Rawley needs to change his moveset. He uses the Stinger Splash, he uses the rear view, and he uses Earthquake's finisher. Just give him different moves to make him look better, I think. To me, he looks like he could be a potential great wrestler, and I think NXT is not using him the right way. It is just a mix of John Cena and the Ultimate Warrior watered down. It's basically what it is. But with that said as well, I think this is a guy that to me will probably end up being a Breakfast Club member once he gets to Raw. I mean, this is something I could definitely see happening. You know, you could put him in with guys like Randy Orton, John Cena, Sheamus, once he gets up to the main roster and to help build him up. And that would be a really good way to go with Mojo Rawley. So we'll see what happens there with his character. And it's too bad that we get the same repetitive type of matches that we see on NXT with Mojo Rawley. I think over time, when he does face an opponent, I think the opponent needs to get more moves in. Moving on, we get now. Before I get to that, with this match, the Mojo Rawley and Garrett Dillon, this is the match I would use as the kickoff match because Mojo Rawley is a guy that will get the crowd going and get them hyped to start off the show to kick it off with a bang. And that's the reason why, to me, NXT had a little of an issue structuring the show in the first 20 minutes. And also have the Divas match as the second match. Now, moving on, we get to see a new tag team. And they're called the Vaudevillains. And they're these 1920s black and white type of gimmick where one half of them is Aiden English. And the other guy's name is Simon Gotch, and they took on pretty much the jobbers, Travis Tyler and Angelo Dawkins. And this was, to me, a really good way to establish a new team, and it seems like the NXT crowd actually got behind them. And it's interesting because in their tag team name, they are villains, and the fans are behind them already. And I actually like what NXT done here, and I like the little things that they done as well. The whole black and white, the music felt 1920s. The way they acted felt like it was a 1920s film. Simon Gotch that had that 1920s mustache, and every time he was doing something in the ring, he would do something really funny, like doing squats. So when I'm watching a match that has someone new involved, I always look for the little things. To me, the little things really matter, and they really went over here. To me, this was an impressive debut for a new team, which NXT lacks right now, because NXT needs more teams to hopefully get that division going and get new contenders for the Ascension. Moving on to a match that I thought was the match of the night, and it was Kalisto versus Tyler Breeze. And like I said, this was a match of the night. Now, even though there was a point in this match where it kind of dragged on just a little bit, because Tyler Breeze kept applying the headlock and the front face lock, and it just got to a point where the fans started chanting headlock, headlock. But for the most part, I was really impressed with Tyler Breeze and both Kalisto. I thought that NXT done a really good job here, showcasing Kalisto and his high-flying, unique, different moves. And there was one part in that match where I was just absolutely amazed by when Kalisto done this handstand, and then he turns it into a backflip and then a head scissor on Tyler Breeze. And here I'm watching this, felt like this is a video game. He was doing little things that felt like, am I playing a video game or is this really happening on TV? It was one of those kind of guys, and I think right now the WWE is short on high flyer lucha libre wrestlers, and I think the way that they're building up Kalisto on NXT is absolutely great here. And I like that they kind of protected him also in a way to make sure he didn't get jobber squashed by Tyler Breeze. And also, giving Tyler Breeze this win helps his momentum to not lose steam, because he is the #1 contender. And I also like that they're taking their time with him as well. They're not rushing it, to build him up to be facing Adrian Neville for the NXT Championship. I think they're going to wait a while to really establish Tyler Breeze, and I like what they're doing with them. They give him new theme music, and they tell us that he created this music and he's singing the music, etc., etc. It's kind of reminiscent to Shawn Michaels singing his own theme song, Sexy Boy, so I also like that as well. So, to me, when I look at this show, the tag team match that came before the Tyler Breeze and Kalisto match was well established, and so was the match with Tyler Breeze and Kalisto. And the main event happened. It was Tyson Kidd and Sami Zayn versus The Ascension for the NXT Tag Team Championships. And really, this show, from the beginning, revolved around the whole story of Tyson Kidd, where you had Natalya talking to JBL backstage at a Raw event, and said that, you know what, Natalya, that's a really good idea that you just had about teaming him up with Sami Zayn to face the Ascension for the NXT Tag Team Champions to help give Tyson Kidd an identity. But it seemed like when this match was taking place that Tyson Kidd really didn't want to be a part of this match, and I like how he sold it. Actually, to me, Tyson Kidd was the big win here, how he sold this match and how he really just didn't want to do anything, because in his mind this is a step back for him. And I kind of do agree, because to me Tyson Kidd is one of those great underrated wrestlers that the WWE has right now, and they really underutilize him. But to me, the way they use him here was absolutely gold. Here you have Sami Zayn pretty much taking the beatdown from the Ascension in a 2-on-1 handicap, and like I said, Tyson Kidd really doesn't want anything to do with it. What does he do? He gets up on the apron. Now he's on the floor. He's kind of, bickering at Sami Zayn for whatever reason, and decides that I'm not going to do any of this, and I'm just going to go hit the heck out of here. And what happened at the end is that the Ascension nails their finisher, the Fall of Man, and pins Sami Zayn 1, 2, 3, and Tyson Kidd never really got involved in this match to begin with, and I like that. And now it seems like they're going to do a feud between Sami Zayn and Tyson Kidd, and I also like that as well. To me, when I look at this, I think that this is something that Sami Zayn could really benefit from, to face someone who is an established superstar, a jobber, if you will, to probably job out to Sami Zayn. Definitely, this is a good rivalry I could definitely get behind. And like I said, the match itself, this was a predictable match. You just know where this is going based off what NXT has been doing with Tyson Kidd. And sometimes predictability is good when it's executed right. Here you have Tyson Kidd turning heel here, and that was well executed. And it almost told me that it felt like Tyson Kidd never really went full 100% heel, maybe 80%. You just know when the shit is going to hit the fan, and it hit almost to the roof here, and they've done a really good job. So overall, I was mostly entertained by this episode of NXT. Like I said, it wasn't 100% perfect, maybe 80% perfect. And if you saw this episode, what did you think about it? Feel free to comment below, let me know. While you're at it, you can hit that subscribe button down below this video. You can also follow MRB Wrestling on Twitter, and you can like us on Facebook at the Make Rock and Bolt Wrestling Review Show. And on a final note to all you viewers watching, get plenty of rest, and always do your best.